is Dean Thompson. Welcome to another Escape to Gaming. Today I kind of wanted to go over this whole E3 thing with the two consoles. Now, first of all, going back to the old days, I loved my Sony PlayStation back in '95, and then later when the PlayStation 2 came out, I had a fantastic time with those games. I'll never forget that. But I also won't forget some of the problems, technical problems I had with the machines. And of course, they were still, working it out. It was kind of a new concept having this disc versus cartridge. And so my first PlayStation 1, I only got a few months out of it. Then they had a newer model, which I upgraded to. So I ended up getting, 3 PlayStation 1s initially, just to keep that gaming going until I got my PlayStation 2. And then on the PlayStation 2, I got 3 of them I went through. One for my daughter, so actually the 4th one, which in the end, the 3rd one that I bought went out, and I ended up, thank God I used hers and took hers where she didn't want it anymore. And so ultimately, I wasn't real thrilled with the quality of the units. Of course, I put a tremendous amount of time into my gaming then, back then, probably a lot more so than now. And I probably went through at least 7 controllers in the PlayStation 2 alone. I just blew through them. They literally would just get completely ground out over time. So now when I bought my first Xbox, I actually got quite a bit of life out of the Xbox itself. It never gave me a problem. I had the original controller the whole time for years. And then eventually, I think one of the buttons was starting to stick, and I ended up having to get a backup controller for it. But I really was happy with the quality of Microsoft and the Xbox. So at this point now, all of a sudden, we got this whole thing with there's 2 new consoles coming. Of course, I wasn't on the internet. I didn't know about pre-ordering or anything. I didn't know, where to get them. I just figured I'd wait and see it at Best Buy or EB Games or something and pick it up. But ultimately, it just didn't work out that way. At the time, they were very expensive, close to $1,000 on eBay. People were selling. I remember the price dropped to like $900, and God, I could almost get one, And I kicked myself for not getting one. I should have spent the extra money. But I wanted to save. I kept going to Best Buy. Oh, we're going to get 3 units at our store or whatever. I drive 23 miles to my local Best Buy and wait in line. And it was like a feud over the console. So I didn't want to miss out this gen. I said, I won't miss out again. And then around 2006 and 7, the economy was going really bad. And I ended up having to sell a lot of my cars off to keep my mortgage payments going. And the thought of just getting a new console and spending, $600-700, which the price had dropped on, they're still in demand for the PS3 and the Xbox 360. The prices are still relatively high on eBay, and even if you could find them in the stores, they're just a little bit more money than I could justify at the time spending, so I had to wait. So this time around, I'm on the internet, now I'm in tune, I know what's going on, I know that obviously everyone's been chomping at the bit for a new console. It's very important. I knew right now, after I just bought a house and spent literally double what I had anticipated spending on the down payment because they're going like hotcakes in California, so I had no choice. So my wife is not real thrilled that I've got a ton of games pre-ordered, and now I'm going, how much is this new console? And on top of that, I need to get a new PC because Microsoft is not going to be backing up the old XP, and I have an old 05, XP, Dell XP, Windows computer, and it's not going to be, Microsoft is not going to keep it updated and what have you real soon. So now I'm going to go out and spend more money on a PC that can handle all of my HD PVR needs, as well as my editing needs and streaming and stuff like that. So the one I have is adequate. It works okay, but I need a new computer. I just bought my wife one, I bought my daughter one, so I'm really broke. I've been buying this house and everything. It's just been a lot of money, so I knew I could do one console. So I kind of understand that, the money thing, that, a naturally new console for some is kind of expensive. The price difference to me is not that bad. I actually was relieved when Microsoft announced that it was only, $499. I said, well, that's not bad. I was prepared to pay more. I figured, oh God, it's going to be $599 or who knows, maybe even, $550 or $700 or something like that. I had no idea. So I was actually quite relieved that it was as well priced as it was, considering the technology that you're getting. I thought it's reasonable compared to buying a high-end PC. It certainly is very, very reasonable. And Sony has this deal where it's $100 cheaper. I mean, I wouldn't go so far to say it's small change or anything like that, because to some of us it's not. I have a friend of mine that really wants to get one. He's got a couple little girls. I mean, he's working his tail off, trying to make ends meet. He says, Dean, I can barely afford 1 or 2 new games a year, let alone, that's why he likes to use games. He goes, let alone a new console. He goes, I really like to get one, but I don't know if I can afford it. So I feel bad for people. $100 can be the difference for some people. Some of us are fortunate, we're not in that situation. So I validate the price concerns for a few people. The DRM thing, to me, wasn't as bad. I feel bad for the companies who are getting screwed with the piracy that's going on. I think it's atrocious. I think that something should be done to where the companies can maintain a profit to keep developing the great games that we love. But I'm really concerned about the ability to play used games too, or for people to buy them. I mean, frankly, I was fortunate enough to probably half of my collection are used games. And it's great when you can go in and buy them for $6 or $8 or $12 or even $22, whatever it is. That's a hell of a lot better than paying $60 plus tax. California, the tax is really high. So, it basically adds up. So even getting, the PS4 over the other one, that gives you enough money to at least buy one new game on top of the console. When I pre-ordered at the time, there wasn't a bundle. Now, I heard online GameStop actually has, bundles that you can get. So I still need to think about what games I'm going to be pre-ordering. So again, before I get into all that, I watched the Xbox reveal with great interest. I had a friend of mine that just reminded me, on Facebook, dude, he said, you said you had faith in Microsoft and that you were going to wait and see what they did. And he's absolutely right. I love their product. I love the regular Xbox. You could throw that thing off the roof and it continues to work. The controller was almost bulletproof. The Xbox 360, now, I never had this Red Ring of Death thing because I got one that had the Falcon chip that was developed in late '09. So maybe that's it. I don't know, but I love my Xbox 360. I use it for my Netflix streaming. I watch a lot of my YouTube videos at night when I'm fat and lazy. I just want to sit down on the couch. I don't even want to sit hunched over a computer anymore. I just want to sit on the couch with a beer and take in some great, on my 46-inch TV and watch things. Now, I do have Wi-Fi through my, I have a Blu-ray player, but I like my Xbox 360. I'll tell you, you can't beat Xbox Live for live games, streaming. I'm not into the chatting and all the multiplayer stuff. I have Xbox Gold because I do like to have some of those, extras with the Netflix and YouTube abilities and all that. But that's it. I don't have any qualms with paying it for the PlayStation Network either. If I have to pay for this PlayStation Plus, that's fine. Apparently they give you some really cool, games, up to 10 games, I think, initially, right off the bat. So they both have their advantages. I'm sure they're both great systems. I'm not afraid of innovation. I'm not afraid of things that are new. But what I'm afraid of is things that aren't outlined. They're kind of shrouded in mist or obscure. The messaging with Microsoft is some of the worst that I have seen. I'm sorry, but it's just the way it is. The Xbox reveal, I literally got in front of this very camera and did my impressions 10, 12 minutes afterwards. I was stupefied because I was really excited. I wasn't even going to get the PS4. I'll get that next year. Hell with that. I'm getting this Xbox, 720 where this thing's going to be the shit. I was very excited. So when I see it, it looks handsome. I love the modifications to the fantastic controller. You can't beat it. I think the unit itself is very nice looking. It's a toss-up as to which one I like more, the Xbox One or this new PS4. They both have very clean styling. I like the the matte finish and the high gloss finish on both. I think they're both very stylish. And of course now I got to find a place for them. Am I already maxed? So what am I going to do? I got to now scrap one of my other PS3s or Xbox 360 to make room for something else, or I'll probably have to, unfortunately, buy a bigger TV stand thing with more shelves and crap. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not about to get rid of my new PS3, and I'm certainly not going to get rid of my 360, which I like. Now, in fact, they also just announced a brand new Xbox 360 Slim. Now, it doesn't have the optical cable outlets or analog cable, ports in the back, but it's just a hair smaller. It's even quieter, cooler, better vents on it. So I'm really thinking about getting one of those, and I've heard there's rumors it could be a really cheap price point on that near the holidays. So that would be a wonderful backup to preserve my library of all these great Xbox 360 games. But again, getting back to this E3 thing, I missed the more I had to work that morning. I couldn't see the Xbox Live conference, which I was just dying to see. And I finally made it home in time to watch it, some recaps of what happened with that. And just in time to sit down, have dinner, and watch the full Sony press conference for the new PS4. And I was very, very excited about the fact that you could play the older used games, that the online requirements weren't all the time. Quite often. I mean, in fact, when I moved up here to Sacramento, I was up here for 5 months without my wife. Thank God I had my PS2. In fact, I remember buying Twisted Metal Head-On the day that I moved up to Sacramento. It was one of the last games I think I did buy for the PlayStation 2. And I had my little analog cable. I stayed at my sister's place for a while. She lived in Sacramento. Had a little TV set in the guest room, and I just plugged it right in. I sat right in front of it at night, laying on the other end of my bed, and loved playing my Twisted Metal Head-On and some of my other favorites that I brought with me, like Return to Castle Wolfenstein for the PS2, Operation Resurrection. I've had that game. I played it so many times. I brought that, maybe I think 2 or 3 other games with me. Thank God for that. And I didn't even bring my Xbox at the time. I was just really like the PS2 games, and my nephews had a lot of PS2 games up there too. So I just brought that one console. So, quite often, and then I went out of town for 7 months a little later. And that time I took my Xbox 360 with me. In fact, it was the week that Red Dead Redemption came out. That was triggered off 7 months of being away, from home. It was 3 hours and 45 minutes away from my wife. I'd go back every week and a half to see her for 3 days and then go back. So I'm staying at my friends, got no air conditioning, it's hotter than hell, I'm slaving all day, like long 12-hour days. I just want to go home, play a game, take a shower. And so even having a smaller 19-inch analog TV set, I had my little RCA cables plugged it into an outlet. He had no internet, nothing, but I could play Red Dead Redemption. And those are some of the fondest memories I had. It took me forever to get through just the first third of the game, but I really loved being, for 7 months, playing that game. I think I brought Crackdown with me too, another one I just can't get enough of. So I like the portability of the games. I don't want something that's always online. I got to check in. It's got to download patches. I can only play for an hour at a friend's house or all this stuff. I was kind of confused by the messaging. Now, Microsoft, to their credit, has taken the time. They've changed their ways. They've reversed the DRM. They've reversed the online thing. Unfortunately, those things are like, software issues or things that they can do on the other end of the online setup with the servers and all that. But I have a feeling they've already mass-produced these things. The Kinect is already built in. It's too late to reverse that. So to me, it's very strange that they used to offer the 120 gig, which was how I bought my Elite, and later I bought an aftermarket 250 gig. In fact, I bought one used at GameStop for $69, a bigger hard drive, which is great, so I could put more of my favorite games, install and leave them in there. And then a bunch of videos and stuff I could, put on there as well. I like the fact that I could get the Kinect if I wanted it, which I don't. I could buy Forza 4, play it with a hand controller. Now, they gave the options with Forza 4. You could use the Kinect to open the doors of the cars and, view around, sit inside the car, and that's neat. I like some of the gimmicks and stuff. They're fun to try at a friend's house for a few minutes. Okay, well, I've had my fill of the Kinect. But it's just not my cup of tea. Sony has the 6-axis thing. You play Killzone 2 and you got to rotate to set the bombs, and some things rotate the hand controller. That's fine. I don't mind, some marginal motion controls if I'm forced to have them. But I'm not a big fat guy. I just like to sit with a hand controller and sit there and take it all in through my mind and do it with my hands. I don't want a forced Kinect. I'm over some of my initial concerns and phobias about the Kinect being on all the time and watching me. Now, ironically, I've got 7 or 8 older friends of mine that are gamers. Some of them are even older than I am. They all have Xbox 360s. They love them. One of them has a PS3, but all of them are really bothered by this, this Kinect thing. In fact, even last night, I noticed that that Metal Jesus guy does a lot of really cool retro games on YouTube. He says, yeah, I'm happy with the reverse the DRM and all that, but I still don't like the creepy Kinect staring at me. I mean, this is an issue for older people. We grew up in an era of freedom, of much more privacy. There were no seatbelt laws, no helmet laws. You could walk down the street with a cigarette, a martini, a cop would pull you over. You all be careful. I don't mind having a few drinks. Just be careful. Today they call it a SWAT team if you get caught with a half a beer and driving. I mean, we're living in a world where Big Brother is just everywhere. And a lot of the newer generation, they don't realize this dynamic because they grew up with everything being plugged in. Your parents know where you are. You're on GPS. They got monitors on the cars now. The parents can track where you've been all night, all that stuff. We didn't have any of that when we were kids. It was like when you see the street lights go down, start heading home. That was it. I mean, it was very simple. So it could be a generational thing, but these are concerns. So for people not to validate the concerns of others is really a sign of intolerance, in my opinion. I try to be tolerant. I don't particularly care for like a GP. My father-in-law, He has a voice-activated GPS unit, and he's got a little Mitsubishi Endeavor, and he loves it. He likes all the high-tech gadgets, and it's funny. I'm driving around town with him. He's got a PS3, and he loves to do this voice command thing, and sometimes he repeats himself, and he has the patience to stick with it. But to me, I have to refrain from laughing because I don't like voice commands. I'm sure Microsoft has probably figured out a lot of the bugs and wrinkles with it by now. I'm sure with the Kinect itself, it's a lot better than the old Kinect or the old, the PlayStation Move for the PS3. But I just don't like a lot of these gadgets. It's just me. I still, like I said, have a flip phone. I get a wonderful computer if I want to, come home and get on the computer with my Facebook and what have you. I've got a great computer and I love it. My wife has a much more wazoo computer with a bigger monitor and all that. Someday I'd like to get a nice PC computer if I can swing it. I'll certainly get one. So I'm not opposed to the Xbox One. In fact, for Forza 5 alone, I'm going to have to get it. Unfortunately, the Titanfall, as gorgeous as it looks, Adam Sessler, many people love it, but it's multiplayer, so I'm never going to play it. I can sit and admire other people's playthroughs on YouTube of it. That's fine. The Rise game, or whatever I don't know how it's pronounced, Rise, or Rees, or whatever, with the kind of gladiator Roman Empire thing, looks really cool. That one I like. Now, I don't know if that's a Kinect-heavy game. It looks like it has a lot of QuickTime events. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of QuickTime events, but I'm not opposed to them either. So, that one looks very good to me, but that's pretty much it for the exclusives. There's really nothing else. Now, if they came out with a reboot of Crackdown, I'd have to go out and get one. To me, Crackdown, I like way better than Halo or any other, or Gears. As much as I like Gears, the washed-out gray color palette, just didn't do it for me as a visual person, although it's very well crafted and many people like it. And I validate the fact that Halo and Gears are loved by so many people. I validate that Titanfall and this new game, I think it's called The Division. It looks really good. Great graphics, what a fantastic concept. But again, it's another game. I'm not really sure if it can be played single player or if it's multiplayer. You can jump in anytime you want. They're having a seamless transition between multiplayer and single player. Drive Club, which is coming to the PS4, which is made by the same company that the wonderful MotorStorm. God, I'd love to see a reboot of MotorStorm or another MotorStorm. But thank God they're doing this Drive Club. Now that one, they've already said you can play it as a single player, or you can jump in and race with your friends and set up these car clubs, whatever. I don't know too much about it. It looks very good. The new game, The Crew, also really cool. What a great concept. You literally drive from New York to Los Angeles or San Francisco, whatever, and all the areas in between. They kind of compress the United States. But it's an enormous open world. You can set up driving crews, many different types of racing. You can modify the car to go off-road, whatever. These are great concepts. I think that E3 brought some fantastic games. Ubisoft, this new Battlefield 4, I think this new Assassin's Creed game looks incredible. Even though I'm not a big fan of the franchise, I really like what I see with that. I think that this Quantum Break, or whatever the hell it's called for the Xbox One, also the graphics are fantastic, how they can freeze things in time and walk around them. It's gorgeous graphics, there's no question about it. It doesn't personally do it for me right now. Maybe I just need to see more on that game. So there's not a lot of Xbox One exclusives that are drawing me in, but frankly the Forza 5 is enough for me. If they came out, like I said, with Crackdown or something else I really liked, that would be the push over the cliff. I still have to deal with this mandatory Kinect. Yeah, true, I can throw a t-shirt over it, a piece of black electrical tape, whatever, but the fact that the system won't work without it, the fact that I got to find room in an already crowded TV stand, kind of irritates me. So I'm going to hide it now behind my subwoofer, down behind my TV, I suppose, whatever. I mean, if that's what I have to do. If it's an option, I'll have to deal with it, I don't like that, but it is what it is. So it all boiled down to, I knew I had to make a decision. I knew after E3 the pre-orders were going to pour in. So I said, I watched very eagerly the first 2 hours Sony press conference. I kind of liked what I saw, but it was kind of vague with a lot of things. And well, I'll have to wait until for E3. Then I saw the Microsoft reveal, and I just was really like a lackluster. I felt like someone just threw a blanket over me. Someone took my crayons away, and I had this feeling of void. I didn't know how to deal with it. I said, I'll just have to wait for E3. So finally I wait for E3, and then they showed a lot of great game footage, which at Microsoft's conference, which is great. It kind of compensated for their second half of their showing. They showed off the great TV stuff you can do. And again, I don't like this pushing things and pulling things and moving and voice commands. I don't want any of that. Just not the least bit interested. If it's built into the system and it has the option to turn off, that's great. I appreciate the technology. I appreciate the fact that some gamers do want that, and that's good. They should have the ability to have those things and to take advantage of that advanced technology. There's no question about it. I just don't want it, personally. So Sony at least gave me the option of having I don't want their little twin camera eyes staring at me either, but at least I have the option to get it or not get it. So I like that part of it. Now, it's possible that maybe the Xbox One will make that thing an option down the road. I have a feeling that they won't, and my concerns are twofold. One is this Connect thing, which we have to take their word at it, that there is a privacy setting and it's not, watching us, or not that Microsoft has any interest. I mean, frankly, what would be their motivation to watch people and all this stuff? But there are hackers, and there are people that take advantage of these things. They've done it with Logitech, webcams. They've done it with now I have a webcam. In fact, I got it way back here behind my desk. And when I have it on top of my thing, I put a little piece of tape over it. And it happens to be plugged in right now because I just hooked up all my wires on my computer in my new house. But I don't like to have it where it's looking at me. It's just my own thing. Again, it could be a generational thing. Many of my older friends have the same exact vibe that I do. They say, I don't want this thing watching my wife and I don't want it watching her family. It just makes them nervous. So you can either validate that's a concern for people, or you cannot validate it. The secondary concern is that if it's so integral to the system, is it possible that Microsoft could be introducing more Kinect-based games, or even regular games that are heavily Kinect-based, where, part of it you've got to do hand gestures or do movements with it. So I'm a little concerned. I don't see them using it on every game, but I see trends coming, and the fact that they seem so out of touch with what the core gamers like. Now, again, you got your guys that like your great sports games and basketball and Madden. I've never, frankly, played any of them. I'm not really into ball sports. I'm only into motorsports. If it has a smell of burning rubber and oil, I'm all for it. But I loved playing baseball as a kid and basketball and all that stuff. But when I get older, it's just not my particular thing. But I validate it's a big, thing. People like the soccer games and the basketball games and this Madden, and all this stuff. Even the NASCAR games, I've kind of shied away from a little bit over the years. Last time I even played those, I think, was for the PS2 and Xbox. So everyone has their own taste, but I'm just afraid that there's going to be a lot of heavy Kinect games. So this is why I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait on the Xbox. I frankly could only make a decision for one console because of the monetary concerns. I've been on a 6-month budget, if not a year. I got to really watch going out to eat, buying games. I'm going to have to even cut my list of my pre-orders down, perhaps even more. So I can't go nuts and get a Wii U and an Xbox One and the PS4. I could get one. I had to work hard at selling my wife on getting the PS4, frankly. So, and then I got to get a new PC on top of that, which is going to be really expensive. So I can take advantage of my new HD PVR, which can barely work with my old Windows XP. It doesn't work. I got a lot of ghosting and imaging and staggered images, and the HD comes in and out. It just looks like crap. So. But it is what it is. I mean, these are money constraints. I have a world where I got a business, I got overhead, I've got a family to deal with. So it's hard for me to put in the hours of gaming. It's hard for me to put in the budget that I'd like to for the gaming. It's hard for me to do my own show. I love to do 2 or 3 episodes a week because I love gaming. I love YouTube, and I want to share my enthusiasm with others, but it is what it is. So I'm hoping to get back up. This is a temporary setup right now in front of my desk, because I'm working on my room still. I'm getting the final 2 bathrooms done, and then I'm going to finish, dialing my room and setting up my shelves and all my games and stuff. And then I'll do my new gaming art, which I'm going to do and be displaying on my show as well. So I'm very excited for the immediate future, but right now I'm trying to make do and still unpacking and kind of setting up our home. It's about 80% done, but still got a little ways to go. So thanks for your patience and bearing with me. I'm delighted to kind of be back in front of the camera again. This E3 thing was very important. Some fantastic games. I love the enthusiasm for both consoles. I went right down the very next morning and waited in line 35 minutes with 7 or 8 other dudes waiting for the doors of my GameStop to open to pre-order that PS4. I just had this fear. They always say that in sales that the fear of loss is much greater than the overall desire for gain. So sometimes the fear of losing out on something is a real force that you have to think about. So I said, God, I don't want to go through that again. I'm going to pay $1,000, $1,100 on eBay for, you know, a PS4 or an Xbox One because I got to have it. So if I have to wait till January, or, you know, I think they're saying possibly December 31st for PS4, it is what it is. I'm old now, I'm patient. In the meantime, I got a fantastic PS3, I got a wonderful Xbox 360, and I'm looking forward to getting that new Xbox 360 Slim also by the holidays. If they have a price break on that, I'll see if I can scrape the money up and sell my wife on it. You know, we'll see. But I definitely want to get that backup unit. And then maybe, you know, 6 months or a year later into next year, we'll see some more Xbox exclusives. Maybe I'll kind of see some previews and things on this new Xbox One. I can make a new decision based on new definitive information and take it to the bank. So all in all, I thought E3 went fairly well. I think that Microsoft came off being a little snobbish, and their PR was an absolute disaster. Very confusing messaging, and frankly, it cost them an Xbox One with me and a lot of my friends. I mean, I'm not alone in this. Many other people from Rev 3 Games, Giant Bomb, they all felt the same way, that Microsoft kind of came off being a little on the arrogant side. But we know what's best for you, and you're going to be happy with it. So thank God things turned around. I think they saw the forums on Twitter and Facebook, and they did a 180, turned things around, and it's a good thing. At the end of the day, we all benefit from it. When there's competition, it's great for us as gamers. So it's great times we're living in. The future looks really cool, whether you're into multiplayer, single player, heavy cloud-based games, or just games that are on a disc themselves, whatever it is. I see good things coming in the future for all of it, and hopefully even for the Wii U as well. I'd like to see some good games for that as well. So I'm very, very excited. I'd love to see another MotorStorm game. I'd love to see another Crackdown game. I would be very intrigued in getting an Xbox One if they came out with a new Crackdown. And the Forza 5, I mean, I'm going to have to get one just to play that. It's just a matter of time. I'm just going to have to wait, unfortunately. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and enjoy your games, guys.